Here we are. We're now predicting round 22. Sydney versus Collingwood at the SCG. And before we predict the Sydney-Collingwood game, we've got our time machine ready. We have set the calculations and set the date to August the 4th, 2018, when Sydney played out a thriller against Collingwood at the SCG. Whoa, boy, what a game that was. The youngster, Tom McCartan, in his first year, has won the game for Sydney. Now, why didn't the Swans pick him higher in 2017, which was last year's draft? Let's take a look at the player stats. Brodie Grundy, 57 headouts, 24 disposals and a goal for Collingwood. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Sydney in a few years because of his astronomical wages. Buddy Franklin, 6 goals, 4. If he kicked straight, he could have got 10. Taylor Adams, 32 disposals for Collingwood. I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor Adams ends up in the Swans midfield very soon. Dane Rampy, 28 disposals and 11 marks across the back pocket. Aliir, he's had 24 disposals and 12 marks. Well, the way he's been playing, and the way Sydney have been playing, well, you think Aliir would be happy here at the Swans and would not want to go to Port Adelaide in a few years. Surely. Jack Crisp had another good game for Collingwood. Well, one of the worst performers for Collingwood is Darcy Moore in this match. Well, does he keep a spot on the Collingwood list in a few years? I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on a struggling team like Carlton in a few years. We'll wait. Well, I can't see Collingwood winning a premiership with Darcy Moore now back or up forward. He's kind of a bit injury prone at the moment. As for Sydney, well, it's a good win for them to keep their finals hopes alive for 2018. As for Collingwood, although they're in the top 4, they need to get back on the winners list fast. Anyways, we're back in the present. Turns out Collingwood did win a premiership with Darcy Moore down back, and he was their skipper. Taylor Adams and Brodie Grundy have both moved to the Swans. Anyway, for this game, I got Collingwood getting up by 2 points. Revenge from game 6 years ago from the Swans winning by 2 points. Best players for Collingwood, I'm going with Nick Dacos, Darcy Moore, and Jack Crisp. For the Swannies, I'm going with Errol Gordon. Brisbane versus GWS at the Gabba. Should be a great game of footy. Before we predict the game, let's go back to the 2019 semi-final to cover the Brisbane GWS match. Well, we're in 2019 now, and the number 1 song of the week is still The Dance Monkey by Tones and I. When is that song ever going to get off the number 1? Seriously, it's been there for 6 weeks already. Anyways, enough of that, back to the footy. It was a close game all throughout. Brisbane, well, they looked good for most of the game, looked ready for a prelim berth against Collingwood. As for GWS, however, came back in the last quarter to win by 3 points. Dane Zorko played great for Brisbane with 25 disposals and 5 tackles. Jared Lyons, 27, remember him? 27 disposals and 3 tackles in this match for the Lions. Zach Williams, he had 17 disposals and a goal. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a forward role next year. Daniel Rich, 25 disposals. Well, it's the finally time we're going to see Daniel Rich in the All-Australian team very soon. We have been waiting so long to see his potential. However, throughout the whole game, it was all neck and neck until the youngster, Brent Daniels, kicked the winning goal for GWS. He's a hero for GWS. Anyways, we're back in the present. We're in 2024 now. For my prediction for this game, well, I'm going with a 3-point margin again. But the Brisbane Lions getting up. Best on ground for the Lions, I'm going with Lachie Neale, Cam Rayner, and Hugh McCluggage. Giants, I'm going with Toby Green, Tom Green, and I'm going with Jesse Hogan. Rightio, here we are. North Melbourne versus West Coast in Tassie. The other game on Saturday afternoon. Before this game, we're going to have to go back 24 years. To round 1, 2000. In one of the biggest upsets of the season. Reigning premiers North Melbourne have lost. Although they were pretty competitive for the first quarter. Then after all that, it's been all West Coast. What a bad game that was for the Premiers. Wayne Carey kicked 2 goals for the Roos, but he was getting schooled all game by Glenn Jakovic. North Melbourne's best goal kicker that game was Evan Hillett. He kicked 3 goals. He could be the replacement for Carey. Boomer Harvey, 26 disposals, 25 from Peter Bell. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Bell wants to go back to Perth next year. As for Shannon Grant had 24 disposals. As for West Coast, however, Ben Cousins played a ripper of a game for the Eagles with 33 disposals. Well, is it surely time to get him tested? To the lab or something. Philip Matera kicked 6 goals for the Eagles. His brother Peter kicked 3 goals. Fraser Gary kicked 4 for the Eagles and 5 goals from Coleman medalist Scott Cummings. West Coast, they could the Ken Judge era be just as similar to the McManus era at West Coast? Could they have some success under Ken Judge? Anyways, we're now back in the present. For the North Melbourne versus West Coast game, I'm going with the Kangaroos winning by 10 points. Best players for North Melbourne, I'm going with Luke Davies-Uniacke, Tristan Sherry, and Nick Larkey. West Coast, I'm going with Jake Waterman, Harley Reid, and Tim Kelly. Fremantle versus Geelong at Optus Stadium. Well, we got back 16 years ago to the Freo Geelong game at Subiaco Oval in Perth. April 25, 2008. What a game that was. Fremantle nearly gave Geelong their first loss of the season. The Cats got up by a point in a close game. Fremantle led just about all game. They outscored the Cats in the third quarter until the Cats got up in the final quarter. Let's look at the goal kickers. Matthew Pavlich, 5 goals. Aaron Sandilands, 42 hitouts in the ruck for Freo. Peter Bell's had 31 disposals. Michael Johnson, 27 disposals, and he's also had 3 tackles. And also taken 10 marks in a ripper of a game for him down back. As for Geelong, however, it's been a dominant display from Josh Selwood. 26 disposals and 3 tackles. Cameron Mooney kicked 3 goals for the Cats. Paul Chapman, 2 goals. Steve Johnson, 3 goals as well. And the game winner for Geelong was Matthew Stokes. He managed to get Geelong. He managed to put the dagger through Freo's hearts. Anyways, I'm now back in the present. I got Fremantle winning this game by 30 points. Best players for Freo, I'm going with Andrew Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, and Hayden Young. Geelong, I'm going with Tom Stewart and and Max Holmes. Here we are. We got Melbourne and Port Adelaide at the MCG. Before we go to that game, let's go back to 2007. Here we are. May the 6th, 2007. As we all know, it was the day Richmond won by 157 points against... when Richmond lost by 157 points to Geelong. Anyways, for the other game, Melbourne and Port Adelaide, it was a much closer game. Port got up by 5 points. Nathan Jones had a pretty good individual effort, 18 disposals and 6 tackles. He could be up there with a rising star with Joel Selwood and Scott Pendlebury. Matthew Bate, 2 goals and 24 disposals. David Neitz kicked 2 goals. Shows he still got it. Nathan Jones kicked 2 goals. Adam Uze kicked the goal. He responded well after being dropped early in the season. Well, we don't see a sign of Russell Robertson in this match. He was Melbourne's best goal kicker a few years ago. Daniel Pearce kicked 3 goals for the Power. Warren Treadray kicked 2 goals for the Power. Daniel Motlop kicked 2 goals, including the match winner. Anyways, we're back in the present. For this one, I'm going with the Power once again. This time by 60 points. Best players for Melbourne, I got Max Gawn. Port Adelaide, I'm going with just about the whole squad at this point. Essendon versus Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. Well, we are going back to 2011 for this one, and this game was played at Etihad Stadium back then. The Bombers won by 139 points. First ever team to score 197 in the AFL. And that was the very first team to kick, 15 goals in the first quarter. This was a really good effort for the Bombers. Is Bree Ruckman really working? Kyle Remus kicked 8 goals this game for Essendon. If he wasn't for the 2 points, he could have got 10. Stuart Crammery, 4 goals too. He could have had 6. Could the Bombers make a run for a top 4 spot under James Hearn's coaching? Angus Moffreys kicked 4 goals for Essendon. Paddy Ryder kicked 3 goals for Essendon. Zaharakis 2 goals. Sam Lonergan 2 goals. Best player out there was Joe Watson, 35 disposals and a goal. As for the Gold Coast, well, it's nothing much to report here except the fact Gary Ablett played a good game for them. Anyways, we're in the present now. Bombers by 40 points. Best players for Essendon, I'm going with Jai Caldwell, Zach Merritt and Jake Stringer. Gold Coast, I'm going with the 2019 draft class trio. Carlton versus Hawthorn at the MCG. Anyways, enough of our Time Machine capsules. I was going to say Time Machine capsules, as we're going to stick with the present right now. For this game, I'm going with the Hawks by 20 points. Best on ground for Carlton, I'm going with the Twin Towers, Paddy Cripps, Sam Walsh. Hawthorn, I'm going with, pretty much the usual suspects at this point. Dylan Moore, Massimo D'Ambrosio, and Will Day. This win means something for both clubs' finals campaigns. Carlton would need to win to stay in the 8. Hawthorn need to win this game to get in the 8. St Kilda versus Richmond at Marvel Stadium. Surely St Kilda can bounce back from that huge loss against Brisbane. Richmond, they've gone through problems of their own right now. They can't even beat North Melbourne. Let's see how this game will unfold, which I got the Saints winning by 8 points. Best on ground for the Saints, Jack Sinclair, Jack Steele, and Jack Higgins. Richmond, I'm going with Tim Taranto, and, that's about it at this point. Both seasons are over. St Kilda need to win this game to pride themselves for next season. Richmond, they are currently looking for more draft picks. Adelaide versus Western Bulldogs at Adelaide Oval. This one should be a good match. I've got the Bulldogs winning this game by 20 points. Best players for the Crows are going with Jordan Dawson, Rory Laird, and Jake Saligo. The Bulldogs are going with Adam Treloar, Marcus Bontempelli, and Bailey Dale. That will just about wrap up this week's episode of the Lockie Brown Show. Well, hopefully it will be in next week. Should be in next week. And if you're watching on the other channel, well, Lockie Does Footy might be back next week.